Hello everyone and welcome to the AOR PC Split 1 Season 9 highlights. It is the season opener here in Australia. The tension is high and so is the excitement. 29 laps lie ahead for these drivers, 16 turns to go around this course. And joining me today, as will be for all the other races, is Ryan L83.
Hello Justin, it is fantastic to be here for the opener round at Australia, and there's some very quick guys in here. Let's see how they do around Albert Park for 29 laps.
Should be a lot of fun. Last season, Kifla took pole position with a 129.416 and went on to win the race ahead of Jack First and Alex Gillen. Enough about last season, though. It's time for the side-by-side qualifying comparison.
Welcome guys to the first qualifying comparison for the AOR Split 1 League. We have Thomas Irish HD on the left and Race Fanatic on the right. Both going down here at 200 miles an hour with the DRS open into Bradman Jones, and Fanatic just hits the apex beautifully, and Irish and Fanatic have a great exit as well. Down the straight where the first of two DRS lines are implemented into turn 3 at the 100 meter board break, hitting the apex does Fanatic. Irish goes a bit wide and into 4. Race Fanatic takes a fantastic line out there. Tom just a bit of a twitch on the wheel as they go through turn 5, which is completely flat. And at the end of the first sector, it's Fanatic that leads just by the small amounts of time, as you can see on your screen. Turns 6 and 7, Fanatic takes a bit of a corner cut while Irish goes a bit wide, which will hinder exit speed down through turn 8. Is completely flat. Turn 9, Clark corner, the really difficult corner, break 100 meter board down to 3rd, hitting the apex nicely. Irish goes a bit wide, which has a lot of oversteer. Down the back straight they go towards the start of the final sector, as they're going to be going up to nearly 200 miles an hour here, breaking through this fantastic 11 and 12, and Fanatic there is ahead by about a tenth and a half. Going through, they've got to get a fantastic exit. Fanatic lifts a bit, while Tom had a fantastic line through there with the commitment through that corner. Ascori's next, turn 13, dropping it to 3rd gear. Fanatic just a bit calm through that corner, and through turn 14, Tom takes it completely flat in 5th gear. Risky move that. Down to 15, Prost corner. They're both taking 2nd gear. Race Fanatic has a bit of a moment there, coming through turn 16, and it is Thomas Irish HD that will beat Race Fanatic for the first qualifying comparison with a 125.8, with Race Fanatic a tenth and a bit back to Tom. Now it's over to Justin, who's going to take you through the first grid of the AOR Split 1 race at Australia.
Thank you, Ryan, for that qualifying comparison. As we saw, Thomas Irish could only manage P11 on the grid, while Race Fanatic could only manage P13, and they were separated by just over a tenth. Taking pole for the first race was Jack First in the Ferrari, with Fat First in 3rd, and Marco HD in the Mercedes in between them. One of the unknown drivers, Canisbe, did a fantastic job to qualify 4th in the Sauber as the last driver to be within 1 second of pole. Starting in 5th is Double D, another new driver who is showing some good pace at Albert Park as the leading Williams car. Returning driver Klawutski was the faster of the two Lotuses, starting in 6th place. Row 4 features yet another newcomer with Burkhoff in the Force India taking 7th ahead of Granu in the McLaren in 8th. On row 5, Crookie edged out MiniBlack by 21 thousandths of a second, while the other Red Bull of Ryan L83 sits in 12th. Bringing up the rear of the grid is Hamish in the 2nd Mercedes, while DH1806 could only manage P15 in his first qualifying for Split 1. Andrei was not able to attend, unfortunately, so we'll see a grid of 15 in the race, coming up right now. Qualifying is over. We're on the grid for the start of this dry race. And Jack First in the Ferrari is in the best position, starting from pole, with his teammates starting from 3rd, and Marco FD in the Mercedes splitting the prancing horses. With 3/10 advantage in qualifying, you gotta say Jack First is looking good for the win, wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Yep, don't count out Fat First as well. The two Ferraris may have a bit of a squabble, but we'll see how we go. As we're about to start the Australian Grand Prix, Justin, take us through it.
So here come the lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we're away, and we're racing here. We're on board with Ryan L83 in the Red Bull as he gets a fantastic start. Looking on at the outside of MiniBlack. They're going 3 wide, though, here into turn 1 with Hamish getting the inside line there. Burkhoff and Crookie having a little bit of a tangle there, and DH1806 as well having a little bit of contact there as well. And we're on board now with Double D, and he locks up, goes very wide there, almost hits Canisbe. And we're going through turn 4 now, very slow speed corners here. And, you know, the the downforce, the dirty air effect is really going to be coming into play here, especially with the grid this tight.
It is, and obviously we've got the new regulations of less downforce on the cars, so they're going to find it a bit different from 2013. As we saw there, DH going a bit wide there, as we're jumping on now on board with AOR Hamish. Now he's in 13th place after a disappointing really qualifying from Hamish. He was pretty good in the pre-season testing, so we'll see how he does there. As Race Fanatic now in 11th place in that Williams car. It is a Williams, it just doesn't have any red on it on there. So that he's coming up to the start of the last sector now, and just there's a bit of lag going on there with Hamish and Double D, and gone wide, and DH makes contact and he spins around. That is not a good way to start your AOR Split 1 career, is it, Justin?
No, not at all. DH1806 there. Looks like he had a little bit of contact there with Hamish, and unfortunately that sent him spinning, and looks like he's got it back going though, and I don't think he's got any damage. So he will be able to continue racing there as Hamish attacking very hard through the penultimate corner there on Double D, and looking to possibly get by him as soon as he can here, as we're coming down the start-finish straight, and we're going to finish lap 1, start of lap 2 here. 28 laps still remaining. It's a very long race here, but things are pretty interesting already.
It is indeed, and look at this. Burkhoff now is holding off from Brian, who comes a bit of defensive line there, but he is allowed to go to one line and stick to it. So Ryan really could have gone the other way there and go around the outside of turn 3. It is possible, but he decides to back out of it. But he has got MiniBlack in that cockpit cam, in that Sauber behind him. And it looks like now Hamish is going down the inside of Race Fanatic, or Double D it is. I don't know who it is. It's one of the two Williams. It's Double D on there. So, and he gets a penalty for that. Very interesting to see how Hamish will react with that. And as you can see, the incident is being investigated by the stewards to see if Hamish gets that penalty removed. We'll probably find that out at the end of the race, as Double D will try and catch up to AOR Hamish there. As you saw there, there is a mod on for the Williams, so this is only for the PC side of things, if you guys are going to be wondering in the comments below on there. So Fanatic now in 9th place. He's still keeping up with MiniBlack, so these two may have potential to have a great battle here, Justin.
Yeah, you know, the Saubers in general are looking really good here. Both Saubers running in the points at the moment. And here we get confirmation from Race Control that Hamish is going to receive a 10-second time penalty for forcing another driver off the track. Certainly not the way he wanted to start his season. As we're on board here with the other Sauber of Canisbe, who is a bit of a question mark, as we mentioned in the introduction to this season. We really don't know much about Canisbe, but here he is, started this first race, and he's already in a podium position.
It is, as Marco sets the fastest lap of 27 flat, as Hamish there looked like to have a move down on, I think that was Race Fanatic, as it is now lap 3. DRS is now enabled, but not, as you can see, where this part of the lap is till the end of the final corners where the DRS gets implemented, as many of you will probably be wondering why that is. And interesting enough there, Justin, Ryan is still in optimal fuel, so is he planning to do a fuel saving stint at this point, or is he going to be trying to catch up to the rest of the pack?
Yeah, it looks like Race Fanatic as well might be in the same sort of situation, as his fuel levels are already unoptimal. We're not even 3 laps done with the race here. We're on board with Hamish once again, who is in that final points-paying position of 10th right now, and he's having a look at Race Fanatic. He definitely seems to have the pace on him. He's going to move left now. He's going to have the inside line for the very high-speed corners coming up ahead, and that's going to look good for him. As we see a replay now of the contact between Double D and is that DH? No, that's Klowitzki. I apologize. Klowitzki in the Lotus there. I do believe DH was a little bit farther back here. As we got another replay here. This is what happened to DH1806. Talk us through that, Ryan.
Yeah, it just goes a bit wide. Notices that Hamish has a bit of a lag spike at some point, but I think Hamish did come back on the track a bit aggressive there. He could have stayed a bit, lifted it and avoided that contact there. So, in my honest opinion, I think he did deserve the 10-second penalty. As we see here, DH doing a bit of ice skating drifting there, so he gets a 10 out of 10 for me for that.
Yeah, style points for sure on that one. Yeah, that's an interesting way to rejoin the track, although he's obviously losing time, as we see a little bit of a rear view from Hamish there of that spin around there. And we're picking up right where we left off there. This is Hamish looking at the inside of Race Fanatic, and Race Fanatic with a fantastic move. He just barely makes that sequence of corners there, but he does hold off Hamish for now.
Yeah, that is fantastic driving there from Fanatic. They're just keeping it in the limits there. Would have been a bit picky there by the stewards. So Hamish goes down the inside of Fanatic, who I think Fanatic's done a fantastic job there to hold that position off. But Hamish did go on the grass there, so he would have had a bit of that on the tyres. And in fact, he goes down the inside now of Fanatic and moves up to 9th place, but no, maybe not. I don't know what's going on here, Justin. They're exchanging positions there.
Yeah, it looks like Hamish was, yeah, you can see the flap open there. Hamish was the one that picked up DRS there through that final corner, which did end up making a huge difference. As we're seeing Fat First here, having a look at Canisbe. Canisbe's got DRS. Fat First has DRS. Fat First has the inside line for turn 3, but Canisbe's going to have the inside line for turn 4, which is arguably the better one to have the inside line for, but no.
Wow.
Fat First hangs it around the outside of turn 4 and takes that podium position, slots in behind his teammate. Worth mentioning, of course, as well, that Marco FD has taken the lead of the race.
Yeah, he's flying at the minute now. He's saying very competitive times on those option tyres. And remember, if you're new to the sport, then they have to go on to 2 sets of tyres. Obviously, they're on the yellow stripe option tyre, and then they'll have to go on to the white medium compound tyre at some stage. And normally the strategy around here is it's normally around about it's a 2-stop strategy of an option prime option or option prime on there, as Canisbe now is going to try and go on the outside of Fat First, but it's not really a place to overtake at that point, but he will have DRS for the next detection zone, which is coming up, or the activation zone, I apologise, which is coming up just after the final corner of this lap. As you see now, Hamish now is all over the back of MiniBlack, and a bit of contact there. Maybe he could have lifted off there to avoid that, but he will have the DRS, and this could be a chance now for Hamish to get past MiniBlack and move up into 8th place, as MiniBlack is doing the sensible thing and staying to the right, and Hamish there goes purple with a 27 flat as he goes round the outside of MiniBlack. That is a great move there from Hamish there to move up into, I believe that is 8th place.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fantastic move. Worth pointing out, though, MiniBlack is on the prime tires, so he is definitely going to be a threat later on in the race. He's doing an excellent job of staying in the points-paying positions while on those prime tires, so he's going to be very quick later on in the race. Of course, the track still very green at this point, not much of a rubbered inline, as Ryan getting a little bit more grip than he expected through that corner, and getting a little bit of a corner cut warning there. Nothing too major, though. Breaking down now to 2nd gear, and following behind Burkov in the Force India, who also was a little bit of a question mark going into the season, and he seems to be performing fantastically well.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers in this field who are really competitive this season. As we can see now, Hamish is going to go around the outside of Ryan off the track there, and I believe he will. Yes, he does. He gets the illegal overtake warning and will let Ryan back through, as we're going to see a quick little replay now of Fat First, basically the first team, as they're going to be squabbling for 2nd place, and Fat will go down the inside of Jack. No bothers there, no Turkey 2010. That's great teamwork there from the boys to not get any contact, and Fat moves up to 2nd place.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they definitely seem to be racing each other, but at the same time, they're giving each other lots of respect. They really don't want to knock each other out. They're certainly looking to be constructors champions, and I imagine one of them is possibly going to be at least in contention for the drivers' championship, possibly both of them. It may come down to the wire between them as far as that's all concerned, but certainly they are looking for a constructors championship here. Unfortunately, no money involved, but certainly they're going to be looking for bragging rights as the fastest team in AOR PC Split 1.
Yep, as I'll mention as well, that there is double points at the end of the season, so you never know, anything can happen in this AOR Season 9 Split 1. As Race Fanatic now in 10th place, is all over the back now of MiniBlack in the Sauber, and there's a nice squabble up ahead of MiniBlack. I don't know who it is, but it's Hamish in 8th place, and he seems to be struggling already on those tyres there, as I think the team will probably want to call Hamish into the pit lane now. As we can see Race Fanatic now, also to mention Thomas Irish HD as well in 11th place. He was very strong in the time trial sign-up season part, which all the PC drivers have to do to determine what split they're in. So I'm very surprised there, Justin, of Thomas's pace at this point.
Yeah, it may just be a track that doesn't agree with him. So, you know, as a driver myself as well, you know, there's certain tracks that I just don't get along well at, and this might be one of those tracks for him. So, of course, with the time trial event, you only get a snapshot. It's only, oh no, as we lost connection to Crookie in the Red Bull. Crookie 22 losing connection here on lap 7. Not even a quarter of the way through the race. That is really unfortunate to see. Crookie was definitely in a points-paying position. I think he was in maybe 7th, 8th, something like that. I think possibly 7th. He was running in a pretty strong position there, so that's really unfortunate for the Red Bull guys, as they're left with only one car left in this race.
Yeah, I think from obviously I raced this, and it was. Speaking of which, Canisbe goes into the wall there, loses a bit of his front right end plate there on his wing, which will not give him the wood of good there. He was doing so well on there. But going back to Crookie, he did make contact on lap 1, which did force him down the field, because Hamish is the first guy to react and into the pit lane for our first pit stop of the Season 9 of AOR, and joining him is Race Fanatic on there. As I think, back to Crookie, he did have contact, lost his front wing, and he did retire from the race, which is a bit unfortunate, with Hamish doing a 4.2. As you see, he's just checking the strategies, and he is on the prime tyre. Race Fanatic's in the pit lane for the Williams boys, and 3.7, a good stop there from the Williams boys, as Hamish comes out just in 10th place on there, as he is in the points paying position. But it will be interesting to see if the undercut strategy does work around here. We'll have to wait and see, as he's got Double D in this other Williams right behind him.
Yep, he's going to be on the cold tires. They shouldn't take too long to warm up, though. It shouldn't be too bad. I imagine it's somewhat similar to last season. Different compound versus last season, so the tires should last a little bit longer than they did last season. Of course, last season also we had the super softs and the mediums, so that kind of improved their qualifying times and whatnot, and for a lot of people made it a 3-stop race. With 3 sets of mediums as well. We're on board with Ryan now, the only Red Bull left in this race, who is running just behind Burkov. Interestingly enough, Burkov was doing some fuel saving. He was already on -1 lap. The last time we were on board with him, it looked like he was having some serious fuel issues. So he might be struggling later on in the race, and Ryan might get the advantage, as the first Ferrari to pit, Fat First, comes into the pits. He gets a 4.2-second pit stop as well. Ryan's into the pits. Burkov's into the pits. Everybody's going into the pits, I imagine, to try and cover off drivers like Hamish, who went in at the end of lap 7.
Yeah, as soon as Hamish pitted, everyone reacted. Jack First there has disconnected from the race, and it was in fact a graphical error, a code glitch or something, and Ryan is disconnected as well. So I don't know, a mass connection there from 2 very good drivers who was having great performances. Not the best of start to the season for both of them on there, as Hamish now is going to go around the outside. I think that's Double D into turn 1 for 8th place, but that is a really disappointing start for both Jack and Ryan to disconnect at that point.
Yep, really unfortunate there. That's not something you want to see. Even as a driver, you'd much prefer to pass somebody on track versus having them disconnect. It's the equivalent of just having your engine explode, basically. And Hamish here looking very racy behind Burkov here. He's gonna be on a little bit warmer tires, but Burkov has the fresher tires. So I think if he can keep Hamish at bay for even just a little while, he will have the advantage in this fight.
He does indeed, and both of these guys were reasonably quick in the time trials. I think Hamish was slightly quicker than Burkov overall, so Hamish will have that bit of confidence going into the first round here. But also, don't forget Double D as well behind. He's not that far off, so if these two get in a bit of a squabble, then obviously Double D will take that opportunity and seize it, as Hamish gets a personal best in that middle sector. So it looks pretty good, and Burkov now on board now. Is he going up to standard? And really, he should be really fuel saving. If he's still -1, he will be struggling in the middle stint of the race, as Hamish now is all over the back and goes a bit wide going into that corner, which will hinder his exit speed, but gets it back beautifully, but goes a bit wide onto the curb, as he will lose exit speed again, as Double D is thinking if he keeps making these mistakes, these little ones, then he can pounce and make the move stick.
Yep, unfortunately for Double D, though, AOR Hamish is going to be getting the DRS benefit off of Burkov in the car ahead of him, as it was a little bit of contact there, and that's Double D taking advantage, and he's going to have the inside line now. Is he going to make it two places in 2 corners? He's got the inside line for turn 3 on Burkov. Burkov, it looks like there's a little bit of contact between them, and Burkov's going to take that position. Hamish is going to try and follow Burkov through the inside line of turn 4, but is unable to make that move stick. Interesting to point out, of course, Double D at this point in the race is running on the options, so I think he might be running option prime, whereas Hamish here is going to be one of the many, I assume, that's going to be running option prime option.
Yep, it is the most preferred strategy of the race. You can do the option prime. It is a risky one. You got to get that middle stint absolutely bang on to get these to the end, and as you can see, Burkov is still on -1 lap, so he really wants to get away from these guys and go into fuel saving mode, or I would do the safe option to stay with the pack, this little train, put into lean and save some fuel. As Hamish now is going to try and go on the outside again on, I think that's Double D again. He does so. That's a great move there from Hamish. He's done a lot of fantastic overtakes so far in this race, and we're only on lap 10, so we don't know what's going to happen in this race for Hamish. So we'll see how he goes, as him and Burkov come around the final corner to start lap 11 of this race and gets the DRS, and it's going to be a simple move here from AOR Hamish, but it's not really, because I think Burkhoff's got a good setup there. Just about getting that position does Hamish, as Burkhoff will try to counter-attack out of this onto the second DRS line, but he doesn't get it, as Hamish will have, because the detection zone starts before the penultimate corner, which will count for the 2 DRS zones. So really, if you're going to be making the pounce, you've got to get that detection zone and stay a second behind the car in front.
Yep, absolutely. And look at the gap that Hamish is already starting to pull on the Force India of Burkhoff and the Williams of Double D, as Burkhoff runs very wide there. He's got some grass on his tires. He's going to come under attack from Double D, who's going to have the inside line for this second gear corner coming up ahead, braking just after the 100-meter board, and Double D takes that position with the softer compound tires there. Burkhoff, though, in a good position. If he can just hang with Double D here, he'll be in a good position as Double D's option tires start to run out of life and start to wear down. Burkhoff will be in an excellent position. What he needs to do, though, as you mentioned earlier, is he needs to start fuel saving, and he really needs to do it in Sector 3 there, because that's where the least amount of power delivery is. So he needs to start going down into lean in that third sector and saving that fuel. We're on board now with Marco FD in the Mercedes, who's having a little bit of a peak on MiniBlack here, but he was not able to complete the move. Some nice lines there from Marco FD, just nailing those apexes. Really, really smooth driving from Marco here. Fantastic stuff, and it looks like it's only a matter of time before he gets by MiniBlack.
He's got to do it as quickly as possible, though, because Fat First is only a few seconds behind, and he did get the fastest lap on there. He was half a second quicker than Marco, so all this time that Marco is staying behind MiniBlack. And as I said that, he goes down the inside, up into the lead of the race, and now Fat First has got to pump in some amazing laps, get past MiniBlack as quickly as possible, and try and hunt down Marco, who is pretty consistent on his laps. He was doing very consistent times at this point, as we can see now, up to lap 13 now, and Fat is a second behind MiniBlack at this point. I don't think he can get the DRS at this point. I'm not too sure. We'll see how he does. And remember, MiniBlack is still on the prime tyre, which they're probably dead by now, because the primes normally last around about 14 laps, 14, 15, 16 laps around that area. So we'll see how he does here, and you can see the grip levels he's got. He's literally trying to hold that back end there, trying to keep it on the track and not spin out, as it's really now just in the matter of time now before Fat gets past MiniBlack.
Yep, absolutely here. The Ferrari-powered Sauber doing his best on those extremely worn prime tires to try and keep the works Ferrari at bay behind him of Fat First. The only Ferrari left in this race, as Fat First has a big lockup there into turn 9, though, and that's going to drop him back off of MiniBlack. Not too far, though. Look at MiniBlack here, though. He's been fuel saving during this entire prime stint, and he's got 2 extra laps of fuel to play with. So as soon as MiniBlack goes onto those option tires, he's going to be very quick. I predict he's going to be in an excellent position. He might not be fighting for the podium. He might be a little bit out of position at this stage of the race, but he's going to be very quick towards the end, and he's going to be a solid midfielder, and he's going to be really, really strong and bringing home some good points, I predict.
Yeah, well, see, as he finally comes into the pit lane from second place. And actually, there's a tip here for anyone who's watching this. If you put in lean, it actually saves your rear tyres in terms of traction if you're on a wheel, because there is a situation with the rules of this season of AOR in terms of the pad and the wheel, and that is why we are running on clear weather conditions, as the pad has got a significant increased gap over the wheel users. So the league decided to have on full clear conditions for the season until there is a patch out to sort out that problem. And Canisbe now in 8th place now. He's got Race Fanatic just ahead of him, and Race Fanatic, as I was just about to say, he will put in lean to save some tyres, and he's now on optional fuel just in.
Yep, and Canisbe's teammate is just behind him, actually. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I guess Thomas Irish. Oh, no, it looks like MiniBlack and Thomas are having a little bit of a battle there after MiniBlack came out of the pits. But you got to say, once again, he's looking good in that Sauber. He's about 7 seconds behind his teammate, but he's on the fresh, softer rubber right now. I'd be looking at MiniBlack to be putting in fastest lap of the race any minute here, as MiniBlack, Canisbe has a little bit of a moment there behind Race Fanatic. and being very aggressive over turn 12 there, taking lots of that inside curb, putting it up into Rich Mix. He's going to try around the outside here of Race Fanatic. Very difficult move that we've only seen Hamish able to pull off at this point. And coming through turn 14 now, just behind Race Fanatic, and he is going to get DRS. He is close enough for sure. Look at that fantastic line through the penultimate corner there. He's in the dirty air. Very tough to get the power down when you're that close to a car going through a corner like that. He's got the DRS open. I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to make the move stick at this point. Yep, so he's just going to, he thinks better of it, hangs back. He's going to get the second DRS activation here after turn 2. Oh, no, and he's had a little bit of movement with the curbing, and that's going to drop him back a little bit, and it looks like he's getting ready to come into the pits possibly.
Yeah, interestingly enough, he's going onto the prime tyre, so that's very interesting to see if that works. And we've got a bit of an inter-Sauber battle going on here, as MiniBlack will get past Canisbe up into 7th place there. So I think that was maybe some team orders going on there between the two. On there, obviously Canisbe is struggling on the primes. So we'll see if that's going to work out. Option prime is not a strategy that I would not really do in these races, but the options may worn out at the ends, and it has happened before in previous races around this track with the option tyre. So we're going to see if that will really work during the end of the race, as Race Fanatic in a very strong 6th position for the Williams team. Very good start there from Fanatic, who we didn't really think he would be up there for a top 5 finish. He's one place behind it, Justin, but do you think he may have a chance for a top 5?
Yeah, I absolutely do. He's actually, last we checked, at the last split, he was just over a second behind Burkov here, but you gotta say, looking at the gap now, that is much less than a second. That is 0.212 seconds. He is on -1 fuel, so he's gonna have to be doing some fuel saving, but we know that Burkov as well is gonna have to be doing some fuel saving, and this is the sector to do it in. As I mentioned earlier, Sector 3 is the best place to do some fuel saving here in Australia, and we see Race Fanatic doing exactly that. So having a very mature race, he's very focused, he's managing his fuel, and he's doing a great job, and Race Fanatic dives into the pit, so it looks like he might be looking to make the undercut there on Burkov and take that 5th place position off the track.
Yeah, and so I just want to mention as well, Fat first went to the pit lane as well for, I believe, will be another set of primes, as MiniBlack now all over the back now on those option tyres, and he's going to go up into 4th place, I apologise, from Burkov, who I think now will have to counter from Canisbe pitting if he's got any chance of staying, holding on to 5th place, as Race Fanatic now comes out of the pit lane in 10th position, just ahead of his teammate who's down the road. And who's this behind him? I think it's Granu in 11th place, who I have to say, not a really good start from the McLaren team as well. We forgot to mention Granu in the McLaren, who looked reasonably quick in the time trials, but as you know, it's not about the time trial, it's all about what you do on the race day. So really surprised at Granu, because he is a very consistent driver from previous seasons in AOR. So hopefully he'll bounce up and get some points at some point. As we're going on board now with Canisbe in 6th, as he's got Thomas Irish HD behind him in this other McLaren. He's in 7th place, who I believe he has not made a pit stop yet. As Canisbe just a bit of a corner cut there coming on the exit there, but the stewards will let him off for that time being, a bit of warning to not do it again, basically, as the stewards are keeping an eye on any corner cuts or track extending in this race. So there may be some penalties coming at the end of the race. We do not know yet. We'll have to wait until the stewards make that final decision.
Yep, and Canisbe he's had enough on these tires. He's going to dive into the pits here at the end of lap 19. 10 laps left in this race here, and we can see he is going to be going on to the option tires. So he's going to be doing 10 lap stint on the option tires. He's really going to have to be gentle on those. He's going to have to be very, very careful. Yeah, probably going to be want to be using a lot of that lean mix there. Going back to Granu for just a moment, though, I do remember from last season, as I have a little bit more experience on the PC side than you do as far as following it and whatnot. Granu struggled significantly at Australia last year as well, so I think this is a track that Granu just does not get along with very well, as he had a very tough time of it last year or last season in Season 8 as well, when there was significantly more downforce and the cars were much grippier. So I'm not too surprised that he's having a little bit of an issue, but yeah, he was very strong in the time trials, so I expect this to be a one-off, and I expect expect him to be in a very strong position in Malaysia. Hopefully he can bring home some points, though, as Hamish runs straight off the track there. That's really not what you want to be doing as he comes into the pits at the end of lap 20. Hamish seems to have the most exciting pit entrances there, as he went really wide through it the first time and goes really far to the inside for the second time, and he's going to be putting on the option tires as well, so he's going to be doing a 9-lap stint on the options at the end here as well. Yeah,
interestingly enough, they all have to counter-attack as Marco is still leading the race, and Hamish will drop down to 3rd position from Fat First, who's 20-odd seconds up the road, as their DH will let it's Marco actually apologise as he goes past DH, who obviously is not having the best start to his Split 1 career, as Burkhoff now is in the pit lane, who is going to counter-attack. Will he hold off the Saubers, Justin? That is the big question now. We don't know where they are on the track, as Race Fanatic will come across the line. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, it looks like Race Fanatic actually has the measure of that part of the grid there, that part of the field. It really seems like Race Fanatic has kind of come alive in the middle and late portions of this race, and it looks like he's going to be on for a fantastic finish, as we're on board with Hamish right now, and he's got mirrors full of Klawitsky here in the Lotus, who's having a fantastic race. We're on board with Canisbe here now, back on board with Canisbe, who is just behind Burkhoff, not that far behind Burkhoff, and Burkhoff's on the slightly fresher tires as well.
Yeah, as the race leader comes into the pit lane, I don't know who that else was in the pit lane. I think it's DH as well. Good stop there from Mercedes at 3.7, and I think Marco will comfortably keep the lead of the race as he goes up to standard there. On the minimap you can see, I think Fat First is just coming about towards the final corner, so Marco's got a healthy lead of about 8 seconds over Fat First, so good stop there from the team, and Marco has only got 8 laps now to survive and win a race to start the opening round of the PC Split 1 League. But you never know, anything can happen, as MiniBlack now comes in from 3rd place, who's gonna, I don't know where he's gonna come out here. They've got to do a nice stop here, the Sauber boys, as they come in, and what we're gonna get, it's a 3.7 stop. It's gonna be extremely close between Burkhoff and Canisbe, as speaking of the devil, here they are, coming round the final corner. Is MiniBlack gonna hold off these two, or are they gonna jump, as it looks like Canisbe's got DRS down the straight from Burkhoff doing the sensible option, as MiniBlack actually jumps both of them, as he's got all Race Fanatic all over the back of him now, as luckily for MiniBlack, Fanatic doesn't have the DRS, as Canisbe now has the second part of the DRS now in the second activation zone, but he's just a foot too far back to make the move on Burkhoff at this point. So Burkhoff does hold on to 9th place, but MiniBlack, the surprise, moving up ahead of his teammate and Burkhoff.
Yeah, like you said, MiniBlack and Race Fanatic actually both doing a fantastic job. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with these two guys here. Burkhoff and Canisbe, unfortunately, just really seem to have dropped off a little bit. They're not too far back. You can see them right there on the minimap. We got a kind of double Sauber battle going on here, of the Williams of Race Fanatic versus MiniBlack, and then the Force India of Burkhoff versus Canisbe. As we're on board with DH1806, who is in dead last at the moment, unfortunately. Again, not having a great start to his season. The good news, though, it can't get much worse than this. So you really gotta, as a driver, you really gotta look ahead to the future races, and just know that better results lie ahead for sure. But is that Granu that's just ahead of him, or is that a driver that's a lap ahead? It may not be for points, but I'm sure DH18... No, it looks like he's got a 21-second gap to Granu, so I think that's a car ahead on another lap. But yeah, like I said, you really got to look ahead to the future races in the season, and just try and get this out of your mind and move on.
Yeah, for his first race, you just got to settle in. Didn't have to be that quick. Just get yourself in, familiarise yourself, because a lot of these drivers are back from Season 8 on the Split 1 League, so DH will get a bit of a surprise, a shock to him when he comes up from GP2. I think he won the GP2 championship last season.
Yes.
He did indeed. So he is quick. We don't count him on. It may just be not his track this week, but he may be quick at Kuala Lumpur next time by. Canisbe now is only 6 tenths behind Burkhoff, so this could go down to the last few laps here, Justin. This could be a fantastic battle. He's comfortably got nearly a 30-second gap to Thomas Irish HD in the McLaren in the last points paying position. So as we got an incident actually with Burkhoff and Race Fanatic, we did not see that on the screen, forcing another driver off the track, so that will be an interesting thing to see at that point, and hopefully we'll get a replay of that at some point of the race that we did not see.
Yep, and it looks like we're now on. Oh, there goes there goes Fat First in the one remaining Ferrari, and he's going to go flying by DH1806, who is on -1 laps of fuel, but also crucially he's a lap down. So and there's that contact.
I think this is it.
Yep, I think this might be it here. As Burkov, it looks like Race Fanatic was trying on the outside. Here's a little bit of contact between them. And some more contact here through turn 14. Oh, yep. And that's got to be the one right there. And Burkov takes that 7th place position off of Race Fanatic. And we're really coming into the tail end of this race here. Oh, no, and yep, Burkov is going to get a 20-second time penalty for that contact there with Race Fanatic. Interestingly enough, twice as severe as Hamish's penalty. So that's pretty much going to destroy his race. I think he will I think he'll still get a point in 10th position, but it's really not. That's really going to hurt his points chances. As Canisbe with a very nice switchback here on Race Fanatic, he can't quite complete the maneuver, but man, that was some pretty exciting stuff there.
Yeah, really good battle. I think, referring back to Burkov, he may just get in 9th place, actually. I think Tom is 32 seconds down the road. So Burkov will probably finish in 9th place as it stands at the minute, if the race was to finish right now. But you never know in these races, there could be a crash, so you never know. We could see Tom maybe going up the order, maybe. We'll have to wait and see throughout this last 6 laps of this Australian Grand Prix, as we're now going to jump on board now with MiniBlack, who is all over the back now with Double D for 5th position. And MiniBlack has really impressed me this race. He really has done a very impressive fuel strategy, as he's actually going to go past now Double D to 5th place. That's a great move there. Very tactical as well. He's got +1 laps as well with only 3 laps to go. Well, now he's on optimal, so he will have to think, maybe do a bit of fuel saving as he goes straight to standard. If he was to stay on standard to the end, he will be perfectly fine with no issues of his fuel running out. But Kowitski as well there in 4th place, so that's a great mixed bag for Lotus, as we're going to get a replay now of, I believe this is the incident again, but obviously with the 2 different perspectives. So we're going to see from both sides of you, and it looks like Burkov just taps him wide, but to be fair, he did not see on there. And he also as well, he got 10 seconds for that, and also 10 seconds for gaining an advantage from cutting the turn 12 corner as well before that contact. So the steward's been a bit ruthless, but that is the rules of the AOR. As now we're on to the final lap of the race, as you can see Marco is still leading this race, so it looks like it's going to be a first win of the season of AOR Season 9 for Marco in the Mercedes, and Canisbe goes wide, and Tom Irish goes up to 9th place there. So
yeah, clearly there's some sort of bug, which I have first-hand experience with, but clearly Thomas Irish has some sort of bug where his split times are not showing up accurately, because that said he was 30 seconds behind, and he was right behind him there. So we're going to have to start ignoring whatever the split time says for Thomas Irish, and we're just going to have to try and work it out for ourselves.
Yep, as now they are on the final lap of the race, as Marco's got that big of a lead that I think he may come towards the final corner at any point now, as Canisbe there in 10th place. Obviously we'll move up to 9th with the penalty from Burkov coming up very, very soon, as he gets the DRS there, and the fuel light is blinking as well, so Canisbe's got to be a bit careful there if he doesn't run out of fuel at this point in the race, as Race Fanatic now in 8th is doing the same thing. And he's got no DRS as well, it's been disabled for him, so that is luckily for him, as we don't know where Irish is. And here comes Marco now to cross the line to win the first race of AOR Season 9, and that is a fantastic drive there for Marco. A brilliant win there from him, and he deserves that win in the Mercedes. As here comes DH now to cross the finish line in last place, but nothing wrong with that. He did finish the race, beat 4 other people who disconnected. That is something you can take away from that. Hamish will come home in 3rd, but will drop because of the penalty. And Justin, take us through this last little bit now.
Yep, we're on board with Race Fanatic in the Williams with Thomas Irish in the McLaren just behind him. Last few corners there, they're going through 13 and then 14 as MiniBlack comes home in 5th place. Fantastic result for the Sauber team right there. On board with Burkov now, who's on -1 laps of fuel. I think he might start stuttering as he's going down the straight. I can't believe he's not in lean at the moment. And there he is crossing the line. And Canisbe, unfortunately, is going to stay behind Thomas Irish there, who had a fantastic race there right at the end. Really came out of nowhere to grab some points. And here we're seeing a replay of the start of the race from Marco FD's perspective. There was a little bit of contact there heading into turn 1, but what sort of good racing doesn't have contact heading into turn 1? This is that fantastic move from Hamish where he unfortunately had to give the position back as a result of going all 4 wheels off the track. And here's a replay of Canisbe looking at Klawutski at the tail end of lap 7 here. Oh, and this is when he spun and lost out. Canisbe, though, you got to say he's really got to look at the bright side. He was looking fantastic in this race. Possible podium contender. Really looked very strong considering no one really knew who he was. So he's really got to just focus on the positives this race and just know that he's got the pace to be up there.
Yes, and who's your driver of the day, Justin? Who would you say?
I gotta say Marco FD, really. It's a little bit obvious to pick the guy that wins the race, but just a fantastic way to start the season. He was really, really far out front, putting in fastest laps, very consistent. He was unfazed when he had to slice through traffic there, as we're seeing as he went through turn 9 and 10. He really kept it together, kept his cool, and did a great job.
Yep, as he's very happy. Look at him there, extremely happy there. As here are the results, the final results there, as Marco did win from 7.5 seconds from Fat first in the Ferrari, and Kwiatkowski completing the podium for Lotus in 3rd. Hamish with that 10-second penalty drops to 4th, with MiniBlack, who is my driver of the day, finishing home in 5th. The 2 Williams in 6th and 7th with Double D and Race Fanatic. Thomas Irish in 8th with Canisbe in 9th, and Burkhoff with that 20-second penalty as well, and Granu as well got a 10-second penalty but will stay in 11th with DH there. It does say disconnection, but he was a lap down, so that was a graphical fault by myself, so I do apologise. With Jack first, Rhino 83, Crookie and Andrei all disconnecting, with Andrei did not make qualifying as well, with Marco setting the fastest lap with a 25.399. A fantastic race there, Justin, and with the Drivers' Championship being the same, who do you think is going to be the main contender for the season?
Well, you gotta say Marco FD looks really strong coming out of the gate like that. He didn't get pole position, so it wasn't quite the grand slam. He didn't Vettel the weekend, but you gotta say with fastest lap and a 8-second gap to Fat first, who we know is very fast, Marco FD is looking very strong. But of course, both Ferraris looking very strong. Klawutski as well did a great job to earn that podium right there in the end. So he might be a threat later on down the road as well.
Yeah, as you can see there, the Drivers' Championship is the same as now the Constructors, with Mercedes leading the way with 37 points, Ferrari in 2nd with 18, Lotus 15, very close with Williams a point back, Sauber with 12, so there's going to be a nice battle between those 3 teams, McLaren with 4, Sauber with 1, and obviously Red Bull with 0. But the next round is at Malaysia, the Sepang International Circuit, for round 2 of the AOR F1 Split 1 Championship. It's going to be a very interesting race, that one, Justin.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Personally, one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. Just really fantastic stuff. I really enjoyed the flowing nature of the track, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching these guys. It's very easy to overtake, actually, in Sepang because of the double DRS, kind of similar to Australia, but with even longer straights. So we're going to see lots of overtaking into the final corner and into turn 1, and hopefully a few other places as well. But it should be very exciting. Really looking forward to that one. It's just a shame we can't see it with some rain.
Yeah, it's very, very, very shame, but we'll hope to see that very soon in next season if they fix the patch. But that is the first round of the AOR Split 1 League here in Australia. I want to thank myself and Justin for commentating this race, and we will see you for next week, which is at Malaysia for the Malaysian Grand Prix. For myself, it's been a great time to record this and commentate this. Justin, do you want to say goodbye to the viewers?
Yep, absolutely. It was a blast for me as well. Great racing. Really looking forward to doing this every week.
Yep, as we will see you next week for the Malaysian Grand Prix.